Hello, how are you? I am back again. My mum is looking after Mary. So I am making use of my time by doing some YouTube videos. I have missed doing YouTube so much. Yeah, it's one of the harder things to do when you have a baby, because like when you have a baby and you're like, you know, it's hard enough to get a shower, do you know what I mean? Let alone try and make your hair look presentable. And I lost loads of hair postpartum, you can probably tell. But yeah, it's hard enough to find time to like get a shower, let alone put on your makeup, do your vague hair and set up a camera and start filming, and then you just don't know if halfway through like your baby's gonna cry, do you know what I mean? You don't know if she's gonna wake up at any second. So my mum has got her at the moment and I have a little bit of time. And I wanted to do a video which does actually relate to babies, because I wanted to do a quick video about if you are an influencer or self-employed and you're pregnant. These are some tips that I have for preparing yourself to take annual leave, or even if you are hoping to be pregnant in the next, I don't know, 6 months, year, whatever. I just wanted to kind of like share some tips on yeah, preparing to take time off and work with a baby, because it's really hard. Nap times are short. Sleep is a little bit limited, not too limited, but like, you know, it depends. But sleep is a little bit limited, nap times can be short, and also you just don't know how long nap time is gonna last. So, you know, sometimes you're like, do I have time to do this? I just don't know, because you just don't know how long that nap time is gonna last. And if you're like me, I don't have childcare. Like my mum's literally visiting this week, but she doesn't live near, so I don't have like once a week childcare. And it's hard. So, you know, I know everybody says it and I don't want to be like, oh my God, it's really hard. But it is quite hard to get stuff done when you have a baby and you're self-employed and you don't have family help or childcare or nursery or anything like that. So if you're pregnant or hoping to be pregnant, I really hope you'll watch this video, and I really hope it's of help. It will just help you prepare yourself for maternity leave and kind of get yourself set up to kind of have much shorter working hours. And yeah, just I hope it helps. Anyway, I've got my little cheat sheet, and yeah, I'm gonna share my tips with you. So the first thing is, this is more for UK influencers. So if you are in a country which doesn't do this, apologies, but if you're in the UK, I would say, do you know there is such a thing as self-employed maternity leave? I did not know this before I got pregnant, and I just randomly Googled it because I did not know that there was such a thing as self-employed maternity leave. Nobody's ever told me, nobody's ever talked about it. There's self-employed maternity leave. It's amazing. I mean, it's not a huge amount of money, but it helps and it's something. I genuinely didn't think I would get any kind of maternity leave because I am self-employed, but I just one day on a whim Googled it and boom, information flashed up on the government website, and I was like, this is kind of life-changing. So there are two different levels of of self-employed maternity leave. There is statutory and there is like full. Now I'm not gonna lie, the full maternity leave is not a huge amount, but it's worth having. So basically, if you get the lower amount or the higher amount, it depends on how much tax you're paying / how much national insurance you're paying. I don't know the exact details, so do have a Google. But basically, if you are paying under a certain amount of national insurance / income tax, etc., you'll get the statutory amount, which is quite low, but still you want to take it. And then if you're paying a certain amount of national insurance, you get a higher level. And it basically is worked out on, it's basically worked out on your earnings or / profit. So I think to qualify for the higher amount, you have to make around, it's either I think it's £9,000 profit per year. So it's not crazy high amount, but of course, if you're not making it, like it is a lot of money, but it's not like a stupid amount of money. And the higher amount of maternity leave works out to be about £300 every 2 weeks. So it's just over £600 per month, and you get it for 9 months. So it really is worth doing. One thing I will say is the paperwork is hard. It was really hard. And when you've just had a baby and you've got baby brain, it's really hard paperwork. There are a lot of, like, there's one form for basically everybody, employed, self-employed. I think there's a section for if you unfortunately have a stillbirth, you still get some time off, and that's a different section. And then if you work for a partner, that's a different section. So it's like everybody is encompassed in one form. So there's a lot of like, if this is you, jump to page 4. If this is you, jump to page 7. If this is you, like, ignore the next page. If this is not you, do the next page. Like, you have to concentrate. And yeah, it is a little bit complicated. There's a sheet which is like how to fill in your form, and you need that sheet. And I did a bit of Googling, and I had to have my boyfriend's help. However, I got £600 for 9 months, and it really did help me out. I'm already missing it, quite frankly. So yeah, if you're self-employed, there is government self-employed maternity pay, but you do have to earn a certain level to get the higher amount, and you have to pay your level of like national insurance to get it, which is linked to your profits or your income. You know me, I've got the vague details, you know? So anyway, give it a Google. You're gonna have to Google it anyway. But I just want to let you know, because I've also told quite a few people, like, who are pregnant, like on Twitter, like, oh, do you know that you get self-employed maternity leave? And they're like, no, nobody's ever talked about it. So yeah, here I am doing God's work. So that is the first thing. And also, I'm just going to take a little second to say, if you are an influencer or you're self-employed and you're not doing a tax return, you've got to do one, quite frankly. It is like a legal requirement. And also, if anything happens, like you get pregnant, then you are actually entitled to stuff. You don't have to pay any tax under, I think, £12,000 profit. So if you're not earning very much money, like if you're only earning £5,000 a year, you're not going to have to pay a load of tax on that, because you do get a certain amount of threshold per year. But it means that your national insurance is taken care of. It means that if you want to have like statutory maternity pay, you've got that taken care of. And also, if you ever get audited, you're not hiding income. So I know it's really boring. I know this is not what people want to hear. And doing a tax return is really scary. It's a lot of admin, blah, blah, blah. But it is really important, even if you are earning under the threshold, because of national insurance. Because, you know, a friend of mine, for instance, she was earning under, I think, £11,000, which was the threshold at the time, but she still did her tax return, which, fair play, amazing, so proud of her. And then when COVID happened, she still got a self-employment grant, which was incredible. It wasn't a huge amount, but it definitely helped, and it was all because she did her tax return. So yeah, incredible. And she's not been paying tax because she's under the threshold, so incredible. So please, if you don't do your tax return, A, you should, and B, if you are having a baby, or COVID strikes again, you just don't know, but it will mean that you get that help on the other side. So I just want to put it out there. I don't want to be a loser, but I'm just putting it out there. And yeah, the self-employed maternity leave was super helpful for me. So I just want to let you know, because I feel like nobody's talking about it. Anyway, I'm going to get my cheat sheet back up. Oh yeah, next thing is actually linked to the tax return, so bear with me. So I had Mary in November, and I don't normally file my tax return until the 11th hour, which is, I started generally mid to late December, and I finish it around mid-January, get it filed for the date that I have to file it, which is the end of Jan, and then the tax year always starts on the 5th of April, I think, around then. So basically, I had her in November. So I filed the tax return that I would normally file in January, so that it was all done and dusted by the time she was born. And then I also started work on my next tax return, just so that when she was like almost a year old, I wasn't like scrambling around trying to find a year of accounts. I was only trying to find like a few months of accounts. So I would say get your tax return up to date, and yeah, file any that you can and get started on the next tax return. But yeah, I swear to God, baby brain is 100% real, and I cannot imagine having like a newborn baby and trying to be like, oh my God, I've got to file a tax return. It must just be so intimidating. And you can hire an accountant, of course you can, but you still have to give that information to the accountant. And it's a lot when you have a new baby and you don't have much time. You barely have time to eat, you barely have time to cook. Imagine trying to file a tax return. So please, please, please file your tax return ahead of time so that you don't have to worry about it when it's tax return deadline time, and do as much of the next tax return as you possibly can as well. Future you, I promise, will thank you. So that is my next tip. God, I'm so boring, aren't I? I'm like tax returns, maternity leave. Now I'm going to talk to you about pensions. I promise it gets a little bit more interesting in a minute. But again, pension, if you don't have one, please get a pension, get a self-employed pension. They are so, so, so important. A state pension, you just don't know what they're going to be by the time we all retire. They could be much lower, and they're just, even now they're higher, but they're not enough to live off. You need to set up a private pension. A lot of self-employed people do not have pensions. They could not be more important. So if you don't have a pension, please start one sooner rather than later. If you don't have much money to pay into it, you can literally pay in like £10 a month. You can pay in a really small amount, but it means that it's there, it's done, it's set up. There's a tiny amount going in per month, and when you are ready to start working again and pay a bit more in, it's there and it's set up. But quite frankly, the hardest part of a pension is setting it up. It took me a long time to set it up. They are actually quite hard to set up. Some companies told me I needed a financial advisor. Some companies were like, oh, you're not employed. We can't help you. We only work with employed people, not self-employed people. I eventually have two. I have one with Aviva, who I would recommend. It's a little bit more work to set up, but they're good. And I also have Pension B, which I would probably recommend doing because they're so easy to set up. It's so easy to manage. It's all done through an app. You can do a small amount, like £10 per month. You can, set your goals, see where you're going to be at by the time of retirement. And yeah, it's all done by an app. So if you want to kind of like put more in one month and less in another, you can do it, and it's all easy because it's via an app. So yeah, it's just right there. It's so user friendly and I can't recommend it enough. They're who I use, just so you know. But yeah, even if you just pay in £10 a month, I promise you, just set it up, because it's going to be harder to set it up once you have a baby, because time is of the essence. You just don't have much. So anything like that you can set up ahead of time, do it. And also you can name your baby/partner as a beneficiary. If anything happens to you, the money that you pay in will go to them. So it works as like a mini life insurance policy as well. And if you used to have a job and you had a pension with said job that is like lost, give the details to Pension B and they will track it for you. So just putting it out there. And also Aviva do the same service. Okay. My God, I'm so boring. I apologize profusely. Okay, next one is batch content and streamline what you do. So take a long, hard look at where you're making your money, what is working for you, what's growing, what's not going, like anything that you can like cut out. Like, to be honest, like if you are spending a load of time on Twitter and Twitter is doing nothing for you, but it's just like sucking up a load of your time, you've gotta be strict with yourself. Delete Twitter. Do you know what I mean? Move it to the back page of your apps. Like, you've got to limit your Twitter usage, for instance, if that is where you're not doing well. If Pinterest is driving loads of traffic to your content, like, do Pinterest but don't do Twitter. If Twitter is driving the content, then do Twitter but don't do Pinterest. Do you know what I mean? Like, look at where you're seeing success and where you're not seeing success. Be honest with yourself on like what is working for you compared to what you enjoy, and try to streamline the platforms that you're on. And also, if for instance you're like me and you love doing YouTube, if you're not very successful on there, maybe take a back seat, If your blog is performing well, but you I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, if your blog's performing well, then that's something that you need to focus on. If it's not doing well and it's like you're blogging and like 10 people follow your blog, maybe take a back seat, but your YouTube might be doing better. But you've just really got to think about what you're doing and streamlining it. And also any content that you can batch, do batch it. So like, for instance, if you hire a photographer, batch as many outfits as you can to be done. If you are hiring a photographer to do your outfits, then take some beauty products to shoot at the same time. If you're putting on your makeup to do some outfit pictures, then, you know, do some selfies with your skincare at the same time. Like whatever you can batch in terms of photography, batch. If you're writing and you can batch, you gotta batch. Batching really helps you with productivity. It's not as much fun. I love jumping around, you know, from subject to subject. I love to do a little bit of filming. I love to shoot a few pictures. I love to like then take a long lunch break and then maybe write a few blog posts. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, no, if you're filming, film. If you're taking photos, take all the photos. If you're writing, write everything. But yeah, anything that you can batch, anything that you can cut out and like get rid of for even for just a short amount of time, put it on the back seat. And anything that you can like schedule as well, that is also a good plan. Like for instance, if you can schedule a load of tweets, because Twitter is working for you and it's driving a lot of like traffic to say your YouTube, then schedule a load of tweets and then try to forget about it until you like have to go on and reply to things. But yeah, anything that you can schedule, great. Anything that you can batch, perfect. Anything that you can kind of cut out, because there's so many platforms out there. You can't do it all, and you can't really do it before you're pregnant. You can definitely not do it when you've had a baby. So I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but you know, batching, streamlining, saying no to things, and yeah, just looking at what's working for you, what's making money, what do you love doing, what takes up more time, what takes up less time, that kind of thing. And also like, what do you enjoy doing? Because if you bloody hate YouTube and you're like making like £5 a month, like just stop doing it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I actually like YouTube. I just don't make much money from it, but whatever. I just love doing it. And yeah, I had to stop doing it because it's so hard to do. But now I have a tiny bit more time. I'm doing it just because I want to do it. So just be honest with yourself. And if you're doing it because you want to do it, great. But be honest, you know, like just look, you know, just crunch those numbers. Anyway, next thing that I'm really chatting here. Finally, my last tip, just I don't want to be I don't want to be like lower your quality, but at the same time lower your quality. Like sometimes I will take a photo and I'll be like, it's okay, but I can make it better. And then I'll painstakingly like move things to the left, move things to the right, like change lenses again. I'll then be like, oh, I'm gonna try it on the windowsill, I'm gonna try it on the rug, I'm gonna try it here, I'm gonna try some selfies, oh, I'm gonna put on a bit more makeup to do this selfie. And like, do you know what? The first set of pictures was probably really good. And at the same time, if somebody's wanting a review of a perfume, they want to see a nice picture, but they don't need to see an epic photo shoot. Do you know what I mean? Like they're probably happy with the first set of photos I took because they were quite nice. But I just kept thinking like, oh, I can do better, I can do better, I can do better. So you have to think to yourself, done is better than perfect. I'm sure your quick snapshot is actually really pretty, you know? And yeah, and sometimes it's like, do you need to spend 10 hours editing a video, or can you spend half an hour editing? And do you know what? People might enjoy the quicker snapshots or the less fussy editing, etc. I know that for me, I used to spend ages cutting out every and and everything, and I was like, oh my god, people want it boom, 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 they want loads of editing, and then I was like, I just can't, I don't have the time for all this editing. It was before I even had Mary, it was just taking me so long. I did less editing and people were like, oh, I really like the videos now that you're editing less, and I was like, for real? For real. Anyway, so yeah, try to remind yourself that done is better than perfect. Sometimes people just want the content, they don't need it to be the highest possible quality that you've ever done. Doesn't need to be an epic photo shoot. Sometimes they just want the serum review, you know, and a cute picture. That's it. So yeah, I don't want to say lower the bar, but lower the bar, you know. So anyway, they are my tips. They are a lot more kind of like get your money in order, because quite frankly, you're not going to have as much time to work. So, you know, do sort out your pension, do sort out your tax return, do sort out your maternity leave. If you can get the higher level of maternity pay, please do. If you're not doing a tax return, you've got to do a tax return. And if you're not doing a tax return, but you're planning on getting pregnant in the next like year or two, do your tax return, because then by the time you're pregnant, you will be entitled to statutory maternity pay or full maternity pay or whatever. But that little bit of money, it's going to help. It's 9 months and it will help. Even if it's a lower amount, it's still something. It will pay for nappies, it's gonna pay for some whatever. And yeah, it will help. So yeah, I know it's boring, and then batch your content, streamline what you do, and really think about what you're enjoying, what's making you money, what's growing your following, and just try and be a bit more strategic, as opposed to, today I feel like taking some photos, which is kind of how I am and still am. Sometimes I do wake up and I'm like, today when Mary naps, I'm gonna try and take some photos because I feel like taking some photos, you know. And this week my mum's come to visit and I'm like, I really feel like doing YouTube, but actually I probably should have been doing other stuff. But I just, you know, just think about what you enjoy doing, what's making you money, what's bringing you joy, what's not bringing you joy, what's sucking up a load of time for no reason, and just think about it. Anyway, sorry for the long chatty video. I hope this has helped. Did you get to the end? Tell me, did you get to the end? I want to know. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.